Today we are going to talk about Adrian Martinez and Scott Frost and what is going on with Nebraska. Can they actually get over the hump? And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today we're going to talk about what to expect out of Adrian Martinez, who is the heir, not even the heir apparent. He is the quarterback. He's the guy, the starter at Nebraska beneath Scott Frost. And you know what happened last year in Scott Frost's first year, but if you know anything about Scott Frost at all, you expect the guy to turn it around because he took over for George O'Leary in that 0-12 season that the UCF Knights had. Turned him around, got him to a bowl game, and then went 11-0 en route to Coach of the Year, beating up on Auburn in a game that mattered, even if Auburn fans say it does not, and then ends up at Nebraska. Now, I want to focus on Scott Frost here for just a second because the dude actually does know from calling football plays, and he's an outstanding coach. Kids love to play for him. He understands how to coach them. He's never really yelling at them. And at Nebraska, he's always going to be a legend. Starting out his career at Stanford, many people forget that, transferring to Nebraska, right? Rushing for 1,000, passing for 1,000, beating up on Peyton Manning and Tennessee for a share of the 97 national championship. So, if you're counting, he gets to claim two because he's claiming a share of 97. And, of course, we know that UCF, they'll claim you lady if you let them. They'll just walk up and say, no, she's married to me, and then that be that. But I want to get to him and Adrian Martinez because Adrian Martinez did a lot of cool things at Nebraska. And if you look closely, you can see why they expect him to make the leap. I mean, our guys at the Huskers site for 24/7 Huskers Online did a really, really fantastic job of what they think and why they think it of Adrian Martinez in his second year. Now, average 295 yards a game. That's total offense as a true freshman. And he's shown up in the Heisman odds, as they pointed out, which, that's the reason why. Is because in his second year, you expect him to make a big leap. But he set some records at Nebraska, which 400-yard total offensive games. He had 3 last season. 300-yard total offensive games. He had 7. He completed, at least 20 attempts? Yeah, he had at least 20 attempts. No, that's not good at all. Completion percentage in a game with at least 20%. Okay, but what? All right, so total offensive yards, 3,246 yards. He's good by Nebraska standards. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make here. And if the standard is Scott Frost, then yeah, sure. But I'm looking at those numbers, I'm going, Kyler Murray could do that in half a season. Baker Mayfield did do that in half a season. I mean, Nebraska quarterback versus OU quarterback is not a fair comparison. Just as Nebraska quarterback to almost any other great quarterback in college football today is not a fair comparison, and that's what we're talking about. Can Adrian Martinez get to the level of, say, what was Dwayne Haskins doing at Ohio State? What was Trevor Lawrence doing at Clemson? What was Tua Tagovailoa doing at Alabama? Can he be what Jalen Hurts is expected to be at Oklahoma? I don't know. I don't really think there's a reason why it couldn't. He's getting coached up. They're putting assets around him. Scott Frost does wonders in year 2 if we're just comparing UCF notes here, and there's no reason not to. But Mitch Sherman did actually a pretty good job at The Athletic where he outlined it. The Huskers, after consecutive losing seasons for the first time in 57 years, expect to make a large leap in Frost's second year. Much of that hope is directly to Martinez, who completed 64% of his passes while throwing for 2,617 yards. Frost also wants Martinez, and this is crucial, to leave Nebraska as the best quarterback to ever play there. Now, that would include Frost, but it also will include Tommy Frazier, who many people believe is the best Nebraska quarterback to ever play there. And we're going to throw in Eric Crouch just for giggles here. But we're also talking about a different brand of offense. We're talking about the option. We're talking about Tom Osborne's Nebraska teams that really were the only football team outside of Jimmy Johnson's Miami to make Oklahoma fans shudder. Like that Nebraska squad from about 92 to about 98, it was just them. It was really an outstanding game on the schedule, but it's also one of the toughest games on the schedule. And you were always afraid of them in the way that, say, Texas fans are afraid of Oklahoma, and the way that most people are afraid of Alabama, and in the way that most people are learning to be afraid of Clemson. So for Nebraska, the first hurdle is get to the Big Ten title game. Get to it. That's it, right? Can you get to the Big Ten title game? Not can you win a Big Ten title, but can you get there? Can Adrian Martinez be the guy to lead you there? I don't think that there's a reason as to why not. I think Adrian Martinez could end up being a pretty great quarterback, especially since Scott Frost is throwing in his lot with him from a very early age. I mean, he won the job as a true freshman. That means he could potentially be a 4-year starter, and I don't expect him to be the kind of guy that comes out after 3 years, although you never know. I mean, at Oklahoma, Charles Walker came out, people went, what, why? What for? What, give it the why for? But the other reason is he's becoming a leader in the way that you want him to be a leader. I mean, Frost actually said whether or not he wants to, he's going to have to. Telling Mitch Sherman he's going to be a leader whether he wants to or not, just because the position he plays and how well he played it last year, he can't back into that. He's got to take it on, accept it, and embrace it. Now, this is also a kid who threw for 144 yards on 44 friggin' attempts in a 9-6 win against Michigan State. Now, also in there is the 0-6 start for Nebraska last year. So, you know, they weren't great by any means. They weren't good by any means, but they are in a position to where they could be really good in 2020 and 2021. And as dude that follows OU closely and covers Oklahoma, I'm really interested to see if that guy is going to be around for that 2021 season, because we're talking about 2019 being sophomore, 2020 being a junior. No, he wouldn't be around, would he? So you're going to have... Man, I would have really liked to seen that dude. So it seems like we're just going to get to see him in a bowl game. But outside of that, what do you got at the quarterback position? You got Noah Vedral. I don't know what to make of that dude. I mean, he's going to have the number 2 spot. We understand that. Andrew Bunch, a lot of people really liked him, but that room looks a little more less friendly with Bunch in there for Martinez if you're really paying attention. I mean, dude threw for 6,207 yards and rushed for 1,000 in 2 years in high school and was 15-0 as a senior. So Andrew Bunch could absolutely compete for the job, but I still think it's Adrian Martinez. And I should probably be preparing for Andrew Bunch in 2021 if I'm an OU fan. And I'm not really going to do much of it all with Luke McCaffrey. I mean, you do what you want there. But I'm really interested to see what Nebraska is in 2019, because if they get to that Big Ten title game, I think Nebraska fans will be extremely excited about that. And with Scott Frost calling shots, you expect things to get better in a hurry and not in necessarily a short amount of time. As a matter of fact, in year 2, man, if he could do what he did at UCF, and I don't think he will, you know, would he be a better coach than Tom Osborne? Yeah, no. No, he wouldn't. But I just wanted to present it to you because that's how he would be presented. He would be a guy that took them from a really bad season into a national championship caliber season in just a year's time. And that's the kind of way that they would begin to talk about Scott Frost if they don't already, because, you know, it's easy to fall in love with Scott Frost. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.